Should be recording right now. Should be all good.
All right. Hello. We are so incredibly excited to share with you all the hard work we have put in this semester to create this Human Rights Defenders Handbook for you all. This is presented by the Hamilton Lugar School Global Development Consulting Club for Legal Development Network. As a reminder, I'm Maya Ringo, and I served as the project manager this semester.
As a reminder, I'm Andrew Scheingold, and I was the client liaison this semester.
My name is Nico Sproul, and I served as the knowledge manager.
I'm Grace Anderson, and I'm a consultant.
I'm Mason Hartledge, and I was a consultant.
Good morning, I'm Jasmine Madison, and I was also a consultant.
Hi, my name is Sydney Edwards, and I was a consultant.
And then we're also joined by our wonderful faculty advisor, Professor Julia Sherry, who helped advise us throughout this semester.
Hi, such a pleasure to meet you.
All right, so I'll just be going over, just as a reminder, a little bit of what our project was about. So throughout this last semester, we were tasked with working with organizations associated with the Grassroots Justice Network in Eastern Europe and Central Asia, but more specifically, we were tasked with connecting with leaders of these organizations to write case studies showcasing unique and creative methods used to help their communities. And so from these case studies, we were also tasked with creating a handbook presenting these case studies for use by organizations throughout the overall Grassroots Justice Network.
Now I'm going to talk a little bit about our process. We started the project by connecting with LDN to establish the project expectations and the guidelines. And then as a team, we developed an interview protocol, scheduled and conducted interviews with 5 different organizations that are a part of this Grassroots Justice Network. And after we finished the interviews, we compiled these initiatives into case studies using information provided by the organizations and developed all of that into our final handbook with the initiatives, photos, and quotes.
So throughout this course of the semester, we interviewed 5 different organizations located throughout Eastern Europe. And as Jasmine and Nico stated, they were also part of Grassroots Justice Network. So this was the Center for Legal Empowerment, CLE, NGO Romano Capice, the Ukrainian Legal Aid Foundation, ULAF, Association Let Station, and the Ukrainian Association of Paralegals. And throughout the interviews, we learned about why the initiatives were needed, the creative solutions implemented by each of these organizations, the results and achievements that they have seen, and then the recommendations and key takeaways that they took away from their initiatives. We then compiled all the organization information and their initiatives into our final deliverable handbook. We will now go into detail on the 5 organizations, the work that they do, as well as the various initiatives that we compiled from them.
Okay, so I'll be talking about our first case study. So the Center for Legal Empowerment, henceforth known as CLE, is based in Tirana, Albania, and it's a legal organization dedicated to advancing justice and protecting vulnerable communities in Albania with a strong emphasis on environmental sustainability. So this is very clearly demonstrated by a couple of initiatives I'm going to talk about. The first being Zal Goak Park. Sorry if I said that wrong. So in this case study, CLE intervened after a 28-year hydropower plant license had been granted within a protected area, but it had expired. This license had expired, and it started to threaten biodiversity in the area. So CLE combined legal action with grassroots resistance, and along with CLE and local residents, they were able to successfully challenge the decision to allow this hydropower plant to operate in the local area. So local Albanian courts annulled the license in 2021. However, CLE continued its legal efforts along with grassroots efforts on the ground in Albania. And then later in 2022, the Albanian Supreme Court revoked the license, halting the project and the destruction that it was doing to the environment in the local area. And then in the second case of Porto Romano landfill, CLE addressed this illegal landfill that had been built near a port in Durrës, Albania. And it also had been starting to harm the quality of life for the residents in the area. So after initial local institutional inaction, CLE escalated this case to a local district court in Duress, and then they were able to gather evidence of environmental damage and demanding that the landfill be closed for rehabilitation. So their persistence eventually did pay off, with the local authorities approving the rehabilitation project of the landfill, with plans to transform the site into a public space and also a future student neighborhood. So that's very exciting. So together, these cases demonstrated CLE's impact through them combining their legal expertise, community engagement, and persistence, which shows how they were able to coordinate to protect the environment in Albania and ensure accountability.
Okay, so I'm going to talk a little bit about NGO Romano Kapise. Romano Kapise is a North Macedonian-based NGO located in Skopje City, the capital city of North Macedonia, and their goal is to aid marginalized people primarily in this capital city. And based on our interviews, we wrote about 4 initiatives for our final deliverable. The first was CSO, the civil society organization, Community Mobilization Training, which was an initiative that worked to solve issues of women's and children's health. They did this by increasing education, surveying communities to see what was needed, and then working on legal advocacy to make sure those medical needs were met where they were lacking in accessibility. The second initiative was Together Against Air Pollution, which was an initiative that focused on conducting research and making resources and information available to the average person about how to reduce pollution mainly caused by heating. The third initiative we wrote about was improvement of healthcare for women's reproductive health and health of mothers and children. This initiative focused on finding a solution to the lack of accessible healthcare to women. There had recently been a law passed that women could only be seen by men and could only be seen when accompanied by a man as well, which led to a lack of healthcare. As a result, Romano Kapise came up with a solution to have the recently unemployed Roma women who used to be in the healthcare field before the new rules were in place become local community healthcare workers to provide these women with more accessible healthcare. And the final initiative we wrote about was local transport protests for the Roma people. In the capital city, Roma people were being discriminated against on public transportation, along with many other transportation issues. So Romana Kapise, along with local activists, created a set of protests that led to the government listening and fixing these transport issues. And together, these cases from Romana Kapise just show a real emphasis on making sure that Roma people have access to different needs, and that whenever something isn't being handled by the government, that these people will step in to help their own community.
Alrighty, hi, and I'll be talking about the Ukrainian Legal Aid Foundation, or ULAF. ULAF really focuses on bridging the gap between state institutions and the people in need by really focusing on making the legal system more accessible for all the people. They really do this and focus in on this in their police system reform. So they use they were founding in the detaining system. There was a lot of issues arising, so they went technological with all their custody reports. That way it would become easier to file and keep all the detainees in process, as well as redesigning the police station to make it one entrance. That way they could avoid tricks, various sections without the detainees. And then as well as implementing CCTV, which is more surveillance in these detainee, to add more surveillance to the custody process to protect both police officers and the people being detained. And then they implemented the Miranda rights system. They found that a lot of people, especially young activists, were getting arrested and they weren't knowledgeable about their own rights. So to make this process more accessible and understandable for everyone, they implemented their own version of the Miranda rights, and then as well as making it in 12 different languages through leaflets. That way the process becomes more understandable and then therefore accessible for everybody. And then they also found that the paralegals I also forgot, they're located in Kyiv, Ukraine, but they found that all the paralegals in Kyiv or not having enough access to connect to knowledge and things that they need to further their education in the paralegal system. So they created a community and a system that paralegals are able to obtain the necessary education, training to provide this legal aid, and then also creating a referral to connect the paralegal to a state legal aid system, again, making that system more accessible.
Next, I'll be talking about Association Let's Station. So Association Let's Station is based in North Macedonia and aims to advance legal empowerment as well as tackle environmental issues such as waste management in local ethnic communities. So many communities in North Macedonia struggle with pollution and waste management, and their citizens often feel very ignored by the government. So Let's Station has decided to provide a space for citizens to meet and discuss these environmental problems and learn about their environmental rights through activism empowerment in these community collaboration-based education sessions. Also, to help solve this waste management problem, Let's Station has created a Green Fridays initiative in October of 2025. So this is a project that is created to directly combat overconsumption and to promote reuse by swapping items that community members no longer need instead of just simply throwing them away. The Green Fridays initiative is helpful because it helps people understand that even small actions can create positive change in their community and has overall reduced waste, increased environmental awareness, and encouraged sustainability practices. Overall, this initiative can show how community action can be used and strengthen connections between both the citizens and the local government.
Finally, I will be discussing the Ukrainian Association of Paralegals. So the Ukrainian Association of Paralegals consists of over 200 paralegals, and though they are headquartered in Kyiv, founded in 2019, they operate mainly in rural Ukraine, occasionally near the front line, and areas where there is little legal representation. The paralegals also act as social and community advisors in these regions. Their initiative was a legal board game which helped educate rural populations of their legal rights and responsibilities under the law. And this board game has been incredibly positive, especially in formerly occupied regions like Kherson and Mykolaiv, where residents have reported very positive viewpoints that the board game has taught them their legal rights and made them have hope in times of great distress. So overall, the board game has been incredibly effective across the country, especially in regions where legal aid is needed most.
Okay, so now I'm going to talk a little bit about our final deliverable, which you can see a lovely picture of it on the right-hand side of your screen. So I'll be talking just a little bit about how we formatted this final deliverable. So we compiled a handbook, as you guys requested, containing all of the previously mentioned organizations that we all just talked about. And also the various initiatives that they have implemented in their organizations. So each case study in the handbook will include a need for implementation, so kind of like background information as to how this creative solution came about, the organization's solution, and the creative tools that they utilize in order to solve their challenge that they were being faced with, the results and achievements of the creative solution, and then also recommendations and key takeaways for other organizations that might be facing similar challenges to them.
Finally, for this handbook, there are many key takeaways that each organization recommended. Specifically, they recommended collaboration, resilience, creativity, community-based efforts, education, accessibility, flexibility, and empowerment. We hope that this handbook can serve as a tool of inspiration for other organizations to implement their own human rights initiative using these creative and unique tools.
Thank you so much for all your help and support. We've thoroughly enjoyed working with you this semester, and we'd like to know if you have any questions right now. Not, I can stop screen sharing.
May I said a couple of words? I want to thank you very much for these products. This is very important for LDN. And this handbook collect maybe key experiments of our partners from East Europe and Central Europe, and so we plan. I shared with this, but maybe I also highlight that we plan to share this handbook through our partners in the grassroots justice networks, and also we plan to localize this handbook and translate into Ukrainian and share in our partners in Ukraine. So this handbook very special for us to share this experience. And we had an interview in our partners in Ukraine, so they talk us that these like creative cases and other experience abroad, other organization abroad is very important for them. So these tools will be for us very helpful. Thank you very much. Thank you for these products. We see that this product is very high quality. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much. We will be sending you over the final deliverable right after this meeting. We're going to be sending it in a PDF format, but would you like some other format as well? And then we'll also send this video recording with it.
Great. It will be great, and I'd ask you to share also pictures because we will do localized format like in Ukrainian language. So we need pictures also to prepare layout.
Sounds good. We'll send those over as well. Okay, perfect. And I just want to double check one more time if you have any questions about what we have presented, or if it's all good. All right. Well, perfect. Thank you so much for meeting with us this morning. We're incredibly excited for you to see our final deliverable, and for the other organizations to see it as well and see what their work has contributed to. Yes, thank you so much. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and we'll send you that in your email very, very shortly.
Thank you very much for presentation and meeting.